Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Case King Pro Series here on Low Fuel Motorsport. My name is Olaf, aka Vops Racing, and I'll be your commentator for tonight as we head on to Week 8 on Silverstone, this classic British track. Going to bring all the action today, and from the looks of it, we might have rain. But before we get to the track side, I want to just show a few things. One of the things is from last week's result, we have a slight error. We're going to fix that in just a second. If you give me one moment, this should be all done. These are the results from last week out in Watkins Glen, where Caracas took the victory, which makes it a back-to-back from the race before that. Monza had a double event. 40-minute race followed 20-minute race followed by a 40-minute race. Caracas took the victory in race 2, and then also took it last week at Watkins Glen, making it 2 in a row, and will look to make it 3 in a row here at Silverstone for round 8. 25 cars finished on the race last week, and we look at the standings for heading into this round. And we can see that Caracas is currently posted up in 3rd place. O'Sullivan leading, but not comfortably. Only 26 points between O'Sullivan and Gaskell. Caracas 75 points trailing behind the lead. Only 50-point difference between him and Gaskell ahead. Then there's also a fight for P5 with Delfante currently in that position. Minar following with only 2 points in between them. So there's fights basically everywhere up and down the grid. And as the top 10 quite close together, because the difference between a win and the DNF is 1,400 points. That's what you get for winning the race. And if Gadowski wins and O'Sullivan doesn't, that means that Gadowski is going to jump all the way up in the standings above O'Sullivan. The rest will all overtake him in that order. So we're going to have a quite an interesting race for us ahead, especially since qualifying has just started. And look at the standings. We're currently P46. That's not the races that we should be watching, because those drivers are probably not going to be participating today anyway, and are not in contention for the win. These guys are, though. Currently looking at Minar, the driver second to set a lap. Driver first for the lap is Gaskell, of course, first out on track. If you look in the top right-hand side of your screen, you see the weather icons for the next 10 and 30 minutes. We have light rain. The track is greasy. We do see drivers out on the slicks, what I believe. Track temperature is 26 degrees. The air temp is 20 degrees Celsius. So we do have a little bit of warmth here in the UK, but we do have the rain that comes with it. The Mustangs weaving on the straight, trying to see where is the grip, how much grip is there exactly on a place like this with the rain coming in as well. No wet tires just yet. Greasy track is sort of a 50-50 choice between the drivers, usually opting for the slick compound over the wets. The slick's always performing just a little bit better. Gaskell gonna start his first lap now. Turn 1 cops, very difficult to keep it within the lines, especially within these conditions. The rain making it very difficult for everyone to know exactly where the grip is. Usually you go flat out through the first 2 turns of Maggots, and then Beckett's you start braking a little bit, but I believe there was already a lift here for most of these drivers, keeping their space as they head onto the hangar straight and into Stowe. I have to say, Silverstone, one of my favorite tracks then is in the game and on the calendar as well. Very happy to be here for this race here in week 8. Next week around we have Imola, though. If we look a little bit further ahead in the standings or in the calendar as we wait for the first laps to trickle in. Imola is going to be a double event as well. 20-minute race followed by a 40-minute race. After that, we have Suzuka for week 10. Week 11 is going to be special as well, because we'll be driving around the 24 hours of Nordschleife layout, which means we have the full-length track of about 8 minutes in lap time, over 8 minutes in lap time. So that's going to be interesting to see how many laps they will do. The answer will be 8, but we'll see that in just a few weeks' time. And then the season finale at Spa, a 20-minute race followed by a 40-minute race. Again, points division the same as they have been for the last 2 double events as well. A third of the points in race 1 and 2/3 of the points in race 2. So that's all equal with the amount of time driven. First laps being set here. We should see in the dry laps around 156s. I have seen 59s drop in on this track in the wet. I'm going to see what the first lap is. And it's at 59.6. Going to quickly open up this tab so you can also see the deltas between the drivers. Gaskell in first. Would say comfortably, but it's quite the opposite. Tauscher puts it in second place, quite close. Minar in third, also not too far off, just a 10th. O'Sullivan with the lead of the championship. It's only 2 tenths behind as well. Now Delfante puts it out in first. Delfante leading the championship throughout the first half, the majority of the first half of the season. Now dropped back. It's currently in P5. It's got Minar on his heels, but Delfante close to to grabbing pole position. Provisional at the moment, just over a tenth away from Gasquel. Running purple through sector 1 as he's heading on to the hangar straight. Going to quickly move the corner a little bit to the side as it was being blocked by the standings. So Del Fonte currently 2 tenths up on his time, so is Gasquel. So Gasquel, if you can find another tenth, might be able to set the provisional pole position once again. But I'll have to look for some more space. It was Sullivan though, also on a great lap. Currently in 5th with a 1:59.8. 2 tenths behind Gasquel, but does have 2 tenths on him currently. At the moment, should be enough for P2. Doubt it'll be enough for P1 though. Gasquel, once again the first one over the line. Gonna see if he gets that pole position provisionally or not. 15-minute session, of course. Small wiggle there from the Ford as he goes around Luffield. Going over the line, does put it up into P1. Minnaar grabs P2 away. But here's the real kicker. Del Fonte. Can he push down one more by O'Sullivan, putting it in second. Del Fonte dancing around that purple. Currently around the final bend. We'll go over the line, and that's an amazing lap time. That's a 58.9. That's 4 tenths clear of Gasquel. And this Honda, absolutely on rails today. First half of the qualifying, almost done. See some amazing lap times already. Almost everyone's down, or at least getting down to the 59s, up to P15 already. With Lehtinen just finishing their lap. Foch is on his way to get an improvement done. But this Mustang doesn't look to be as fast as Gasquel's at the moment. A 59.8. Of course, fine margins everywhere. As more laps are being completed. Peterson up to P9, number 22 car. Doing a great job as well. Caracas going to the pits. Maybe set on a new set of tires. Foch backing out of this lap. Not close enough to do anything or any damage. Last lap, 2 minutes 0.5. So that would only be good enough for P21. As he's currently in P14, that means that position will stay. Gasquel once again improving. Needs 4 tenths. And we'll see if he can get those 4 tenths. Goes over the line. It's only 3 tenths, not 4. 2.5 rather. So still 1.5 tenths behind Del Fonte as he returns back to the pits. Tauscher now over the line as well. He's got some good improvement to his name. Goes from 8th to 4th, which is a good time as well. Debons in 13th. And it's all quite tight here. 3 tenths is going to put him from 13th all the way to 6th. That's it. 59.4 as everyone ducks into the pit lane to get a new set of tires on for the second half of qualifying. All of these names familiar from last weekend's 24 hours of Spa. Everyone's got their practice in, of course. The entire 24 hours were dry, so no wet running whatsoever. That's what we'll be looking at today, though. The switch up to some more engaging weather, I would say. Hopefully it's going to be this way in the race as well. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult for the drivers to set their maneuvers, make their overtakes, pull out some lunges. It's going to be a bit trickier than the dry. And like they say, in the wet, that's when the real skill comes out and the car effect is negated. Or at least that's what they say in Formula 1. Foch puts it up into the top 10. That's P9. Just following everyone through that is finishing a lap. Ramonet also on an improvement. The new set of tires helping up to P7. Right behind him, Bellic over the line in 15th. So not fantastic times, but still improvements nonetheless. The leaders are out on laps. And a few drivers into the pits. Hauben still on that improvement, as you can see. The top 16 all within a second. And it is quite close. Hauben going from 12th now to 6th. That's some good improvement there. So we're looking on out front. Gasquel is going to start his lap. And unfortunately, the current time in the Delta not updating. Which means that even I can't see how much he's improving on this lap. And we'll just have to trust that the drivers all know how fast they're going and how fast they need to go. Because that Delta will be on their screen, on their dashes, on their HUDs. At 158.917. That is the time to beat, currently set by Del Fonte. Eager to get his championship lead back. Only 208 points away from the lead. That is how tight it is. Top 6 divided by 210 points. Del Fonte, the only one of those 6 drivers not to score a victory. But if the conditions are looking his way, he might just get one. Currently going through the end of Sector 1. As we're reaching the final few minutes of qualifying before our 60-minute adventure around the British airfield. Reconstructed to be a racing track, which I'm very happy with. I think this is a great use of an airfield. Definitely happy that cars are allowed to be driving around here instead of planes leaving and landing. So definitely some eyes on a few drivers. Del Fonte. One Porsche going very, very wide. Appears to be the 25 car. That is Forst, currently in 23rd. It's weaving out of the way. Maybe a small mistake letting O'Sullivan through. Like I said, eyes on a few drivers. One of which is on screen now. Shea O'Sullivan. The number 6 car for today. The Ford leading the championship by small margins. Will be looking to perform. It's going to be the one to look at. Other one, Gasquel, just finished the lap, currently in P2. And in qualifying and in the championship. So definitely one to watch. And of course, Caracas. 1-2 in a row. O'Sullivan improving just a tiny bit. It's now 2 thousandths behind Tauscher in 4th. So we'll hold on to that 5th position for now. So Caracas, 2 victories, all achieved in the last 2 races. Right behind that we have Boothby, who unfortunately does not appear to be present on track. Meaning his 4th place might just be taken away by the driver we have been looking at quite a bit so far, or have talked about for a little bit. Currently provisional pole, Eric Del Fonte. Currently holding 5th place, not too far off of Minnaar. With those 2 points difference between the two. Minnaar currently in 3rd place, qualifying. As Brenham jumps up to 6th place. Dropping Hauben by 1. And just to look at the drivers going out of their laps, Minnaar backing off, not going to finish his lap. We're going to go on board a little bit with, that's the wrong camera, that's the wrong one again, on board a little bit with Eric Del Fonte as he's rounding through the village section of this track. You can still see the rain on the windscreen. Not too much though, seems to be handling the car quite well. And the reason why we're here is because Minnaar is improving. Minnaar's 2.5 tenths behind Del Fonte. Currently has a 10th on his name. Last lap, backed out. Lost a few seconds, backed out. Went for a new lap. But now Del Fonte is absolutely slamming it on this lap. Will have one more try as he crosses the line, but he should be completely exhausted. He's going to go over the line. Is that going to be an improvement? It is. Not too much, but it is a little bit. 58.890 as the checkered flag is out, and everyone who crosses the line now will have their lap times solidified. Delphante will have one final run. O'Sullivan, Debons, unfortunately not from the looks of it. Latinen will have one more run, like Gadowski as well, and that is the current one. Grid is tightly packed. Gadowski is going to look to jump a few places. Goes up one. That's the 13th place. Latinen currently in 12th. Has a big improvement. That's up to 4th place. That's an insanely good run. Mega lap by the number 11 car, Brenham, over the line. One position gained as well. Minar currently through the final sector is improving. 5th place, not where he wants to be, because that is behind Delphante, who appears to be absolutely on fire today. Minar, just in the short run, down to the line. You can take a lot of those curbs on the inside to cut a little bit more time. Goes up to 2nd place. Just over a 10th away from pole position. Gaskell trying to do something about it. Overtakes Minar for 2nd place. But that is not going to be pole position. As we look on to Delphante. And it's currently a fight between him and O'Sullivan, who are both dancing around that purple. O'Sullivan only just under 2/10 away from pole position. Is currently improving 2/10. But Delphante is also on an enormous lap around this final corner. 58.8 is what he had. 58.84 is what he's got now. O'Sullivan across the line just barely misses out on pole position by 47 thousandths. But is still ahead of Gaskell by 5 thousandths of a second. So it is quite close, but your pole sitter is right here. Delphante with the golden Honda will line it up in 1st place. O'Sullivan, your championship leader, in 2nd place. And Minar, starting from 4th, will have some time to make up to be able to compete with Delphante. But the Honda, number 4 car, prepped and ready to grab this victory. 3.5 minutes until we start with our formation lap. Then a 60-minute race around this beautiful track. Can't say it often enough. Everyone always calls it a little bit dull, a little bit boring. No good racing, stuff like that. But I think we're going to see some magical sides here as we're going to quickly go to the grid. See if that has already updated. It certainly has. Delphante currently pole position, 1st place. O'Sullivan has 2nd place with a number 6 Ford. Front row completed. Gaskell, 2nd place in the standings, but 3rd on the grid. The number 1 car in position 3. Minar, his teammate, followed close behind, looking out that 2nd row with the Go Setups car. Latinen, a surprise, but a welcome one to be sure. Another Honda from Wild Things Racing in 5th. Ramonet, the 1st Ferrari on the grid, in 6th place. Van der Meer, putting our 2nd Honda on the grid. Number 17 car in P7. Brenham, 8th place, finishing up row number 4. Then we have Tauscher in the Porsche. 9th, Hauben in 10th place. The number 3 Team Nitro car doing phenomenally well in the 24-hour race as well. Caracas, Visceral Esports in 11th. Debons in the Aston Martin. Williams Esports number 8 in P12. Gadowski had a good improvement. Wasn't enough for the top 10 in P13 with PS UK. Forge, not too quick either on these conditions. P14. Iverson in 15th place, the other Visceral Esports car on the grid today. Peterson in P16. Bellic also great improvement lap towards the end with the Porsche in P17. Van Rossum, someone who's frequented the top 10 as well in the earlier part of the season, is currently in P18. Scorsia, who has put up some fights, especially in Kyalami, currently 19th. Will have some work to do. Dufresne in 20th. The number 15 Ferrari. Kaufmann in 22nd. Firka in 22nd. Kaufmann was in 21st. Made a little slip up there. Zaza in the number 20 Ferrari in 23rd. Fox has P24 with the 24 car. A beautiful monster liveried Aston Martin. Haug in 25th. The number 23 car leading the back of the grid. Stahl in 26th. As we are approaching the final rows. Forst in 27th. Flag in 28th. And then our final car on the grid, Alexander Krauk in P29. And that being said, we are on our way with the formation lap. Del Fonte leading the grid through comps. The number 4 car looking to gain back that championship lead. And his first victory of this season. 3:33 p.m. 60 minutes to go. Greasy and rainy. 26 degrees on the track, 20 degrees in the air. Little to no wind. Means that the rain will stay for a while. A one stop today, as per usual. 25 seconds fixed time for refueling. And a change of tires is not obligated. They are allowed, of course, to swap compounds if they need or if they want. Might be a good idea if you're bad on tire management in these conditions. A wet track with dry tires, not something you do every single day. And we can see that they are the slicks by the yellow Pirelli logo. It's currently spinning around on the side of the tires. Or at least I believe that's what they are. I believe that is the indicator for today. We can also look at the grooves of the tires, but that's a little bit more difficult to spot. But as they were all on slicks in the qualifying session, I assume they'll be on slicks as well during the race. Everyone here knows what they're doing. Not their first rodeo, so to speak. But Del Fonte looking for his first win of the season. Has gotten some good results. Consistency, of course. That's why he's so high up in the standings without having a victory to his name. Because P6 is 210 points behind the leader, but P7 is 838 points behind the leader. Still not insurmountable, but it definitely is a little bit bigger than you would like being in the top 10. But Del Fonte, really big chance to fight with the leaders, to fight with the top of the top, even without having scored that victory. That's pure consistency, doing well on every single race. To get a lot of those points on the board. And remember, Formula 2 has had many championship leaders that had never won a race. That's all because of those reverse grid situations. You can finish third twice and get more points than a race winner for that weekend. That's exactly what Del Fonte has done in the first half of the season. It's dropped down a little bit for the second half, the start of the second half, as we're currently in week 8. Carcass on the back foot, starting to look for his hat trick, his third race win in a row. Gonna have some drivers to pass namely Houben, Tauscher, Brennan, Van der Meer, Latinen, Ramanet, Minar, Gaskell, O'Sullivan, and this man right here, Del Fonte, currently lined up on pole position next to him, our championship leader. This is going to be a legendary run into turn 1, into Copse. We all know side by side through Copse never goes well. And with these conditions, it's only going to get trickier. And I can assure you, we're going to see some action into turn 1. Ladies and gentlemen, just a few seconds until we're green at Silverstone. 60 minutes of racing will start as they cross the line. That's not the racing line. This will be the line. And we are green at Silverstone. Del Fonte away with a really good start. O'Sullivan looked a little bit too lazy on the throttle there. As we see the Go Setups cars go both squirrely over the Copse curves. And it's now Del Fonte leading into Maggots and Beckett's. O'Sullivan right behind. Following through, but not close enough to do anything just yet. A little bit further back, we do see some side-by-side action. That is Tauscher and Houben having a little fight. Tauscher drops back 1 position. A few side-by-side moves here on the hangar straight. See some cars swapping position further back as well. Forge dropping back down. It's currently in 15th place as they're all look to be side-by-side. Van der Meer on the inside of Houben, as it will turn into the outside line for the next turn. Houben in the Porsche, a good line. Cuts it off very nicely, and we do see Carcass looking for something on the inside here. There's a Porsche, but he's not really paying him too much attention. He's going to start to be pushing, and the train has now formed. A small look to the outside, a few cars back. Nothing too major though. Is everyone following through now? And the starting positions have changed just a tiny bit. Gaskell, though, on the inside of O'Sullivan. Got the place momentarily, but the exit is a little bit weird from O'Sullivan. And the Ford dropping back to make place for another number 1 car, going on through Minar. Close in 4th. Trying to see if there is a space, and Gaskell had to go defensive there because O'Sullivan had a run and now had to back off because there was a car in the way. Room almost open for Minar to go on through. And there's contact, and that is Minar being tapped around. Carcass going through, and there's a car stationary, and that appears to be Minar. And he is going again, but he has lost quite a few positions. That's 15th place. They started off in 4th. So that is a collision the stewards will have to look at. And Minar not happy with that one. Tauscher also dropping back a bit. He's now in the middle of a pack. And meanwhile, Del Fonte has cleared Gaskell by over a second while we're looking at this train start to form. 2.5 to 2nd place, and then another 2.5 to 3rd. Sullivan doing his best at that. Going to grab the race gaps, because these are a little bit more interesting to watch than the session relatives. Forgot to change that. As we do have some side-by-side action here. Skadowski and Iverson having a little scramble up ahead as well. Carcass with the Van der Meer. Carcass gaining back the place, heading into the turn, and that's Iverson. No, that's Skadowski. Losing another place. Iverson almost grabbing 2 spots. Gets P10. Gadowski is up 2 places from where he started, and it's a 3-way fight a little bit further back. That's Foch trying to go around the outside. We'll have to brake a bit earlier to be able to pull that off. And Minar on his way back up. Inside being covered, but Foch sending it around the outside. Gets sent a long way around. The inside absolutely open for Bellic to maybe look something. That's 3 wide going into the loop on to the final straight before the start. And Foch losing another place. Looking for a position, but in the end, not finishing off the attack will cost him 1 place. It's still side by side as they're heading into Brooklands. And on the brakes, Foch is able to pass, but the switchback is there, and Bellic just goes straight past once again, and now Carcass. That's not Carcass, that's Minar, who's running right behind Indigo Setups car. Just a little bit too far away to fight for those positions. Minar in that incident a little bit early on. See if we can catch that replay, because there has been an accident. Let's see if we can catch that. Let's see what car number Minar has. That's car number 5. Should have that somewhere here on the replays. Yellow flag. Car number 5. Minar here. Long way around. I believe that's Caracas to the side. Minar being on the rear taps Caracas and gets sent off the track, trying to get back onto it. He's currently now in 15th place as Forge still fighting with Bellic, who doesn't seem to be giving an inch, and Forge going wide. Now opens up the door for Minar to go on through as they're heading into club and on towards the Hamilton Straight. Forge being pushed, and Latinen opportunistic, being able to pull right on through and gaining a position. Forge not happy with that one, but will have to sit behind us. There's no way you overtake into Abbey. Turn 12, extremely quick. And Forge dropping down currently in 16th place. Not where he wants to be, of course. 17th even, as he's losing more and more time. Peterson looking for something as well, as the Mustang is quite vulnerable. Good run from the Honda, the 22 car in 18th place. Currently hunting down the 12 in 17th. Forge getting desperate, trying to get past Dufresne. Does look like he's made the move. The number 15 car a little bit wide. It does get back on. Forge up to 16th again. 2 places down from where he started. And Peterson going back a bit. Might have been contact from the looks of it. Lots of contact up and down the grid. A small little show of force as Van Rossum is attempting to get past. And Kaufman is trying to wiggle in as well, as these three settle into a rhythm through Maggots and Beckett's. We'll look again towards Stowe. See if there is an opportunity there. Meanwhile, Minar getting close to Bellic, getting sideways with Bellic, as he's already passed before the corner. And that's a straight line overtake from the Ford. Getting past the number 21 car up to 13th. And making up from quite some good space. They have Caracas currently in 7th, also recovering quite well. The number 2 car doing some work to undo the damage that had been done. Delfante, in the meantime, has pulled away quite quickly. Fastest lap in the hands of O'Sullivan. Currently with a 1:59.5. Lost the place to Gaskell at the start. Now Gaskell being dropped behind by quite a bit. That's something where he wants to be. Hauber now in 5th. Has gained about 5 places. It's a good showing as well. He's currently chasing down Brenham, who has gained a few places more, as Delfante just puts in the fastest lap of the race. And it has been nothing short of action so far, as the races are settling into a rhythm, trying to find their place on the track, finding the grip on this greasy track. A few drivers already on an invalid lap after reaching turn 1 in Cops. Definitely a killer of lap times. Will be one to look out for, especially when you're trying to set some fastest lap. Not that there are any bonus points for fastest laps, but getting a good run is always good. And if you go over the line too much, you might just get a drive-through penalty. As Minar is up another one on a straight. The move that he did on Bellic, he now did on De Bonds. And the number 8 car left with nothing to defend. As Minar's chasing down the lost positions. Currently in 12th, chasing down Godowski, who has done a good job so far as well. The number 10 car up 2 places from where he started. looking to chase down Vandermeer, the number 17, in 10th place. The lap times dropping ever so slightly, as everyone is getting accustomed to the conditions, to the wet track. They've of course had it in qualifying, but that is on low fuel, and now they've got their tank pretty much half full. As one full tank should be enough for 1 hour. And there will be a pit stop about halfway through. In about 10 minutes, the pit window will open, and it'll last for 20 minutes. So you first have 20 minutes of clean racing, then 20 minutes of an open pit window, followed by another 20 minutes. And everyone has to do one pit stop at the very least. As we're seeing some good lap times dropping in. Everyone in the top 8 has done a 1 minute 59. It's a sub 2 minute. And then some surprise numbers a little bit further back. Foch with a 59 as well. And Minnar as well. Getting quite close now to Gadowski. The Aston Martin looking to defend, but Minnar, an absolute unit on the straight. He's looking to make the exact same move that he's done twice before. Gadowski knows it. Covers off the inside, going into Stowe. And Minnar having to look for the alternative overtake, but slots in behind. As Carcass takes away P6 from Ramonet. The number 9 car dropping back a place. Debon's looking for something, but Gadowski a little bit wide going through the club section. And that is elbows out. Minnar on the inside, heading into Abbey. Opening as well for Debons, who goes towards the inside and gets past Gadowski. Small tap as well. Spelik's trying to mix himself in with the fight, and even Latinen getting into this. Gadowski lost 1, lost 2, wants to get 1 back, but it appears that Belik is going to do the opposite. He's looking to hold his ground. Good exit through the village section. Onto Brooklands now. Gadowski will hold on just a moment longer. Belik stuck behind the Aston Martin. Foch trying to mix himself in with this as well, as he does gain a place momentarily. Dropping back behind Latinen again. But the Ford will have the inside line. The Honda scrambling for power. So going on to Kops. And within the line still for everyone from the looks of it. Latinen will hold on to the place as Foch is settling in now. Small shuffle there seen by the Honda, and the Ford, the better line through the exit. Definitely have something to say about that. The inside line for the next turn tried by Latinen. Unfortunately, Foch was a little bit further in the thought process and was already almost alongside as they tried to push each other onto the grass. Defren a little bit wide as well through Stowe. One of the taste of that battle as well. As the front runners are slowly but surely going to be disappearing from view. Del Fonte now with a 2-second lead over Gaskell going into the village section in sector 3. Grid is still quite condensed, as you can see on the minimap on the right hand side of your screen. You can see exactly where all our drivers are. Little number presents their driver number, so you can follow your favorite driver by looking at the driver number in the tower. See the position next to that in the black or white box. You can see their driver number. We can see a triangle indicating the race lead. That's currently in the hands of Del Fonte. And you can see the gap that he's created to the number 1 car. Gaskell in 2nd place. And we look onwards. Latinen following Foch on through. slower laps being posted, all due to battles happening basically everywhere on the grid. These are the closest two cars as of now. Closest three, I should say. Dufresne also part of this battle. 3 men now through Chapel onto the hangar straight. There is a slipstream to be gained here on the straight line. Nothing too much, but you did see Minar do it quite a few times to get the overtakes done. Is a little bit further up the road now, as we can see. Or should I say can't see, it's just disappeared from view. Some good battling still happening in the midfield. And even though the gaps out in front are increasing, it's not done yet. Hauben, the one to show that, the number 3 Porsche right behind Brenham in 4th place. Trying to hold on to a position that Hauben would really like to be his. They're approaching the final sector of the track. Final few corners, small look towards the inside. Hauben does decide to send it in. It was going to be difficult to gauge where the other drivers will go. Brenham holding on to his line, but the inside a tiny bit slower around here. Left the car lined up properly for the start finish. We'll have the inside line, and Hauben not able to get alongside quickly enough. Has to drop back. Of course, not doing that into Kops either. Tauscher did get the overtake done. Ramanet dropping back 1 place. Has lost 2 from the start, and Tauscher and gaining 2. Up to 7th. Doing a good job of that. Ramanet not done yet. Look to make something happen out of the straight here. And we have seen some overtakes happening on the straight line. Hauben too far away, I believe, to do anything. We'll back off. So we just saw him disappear. Ramanet the same. Just too far away to do anything substantial, to do any damage, to do any attempt at an overtake. The lead still comfortably held by Del Fonte. Let's just see a little telemetry glitch from the looks of it. There we go, back to normal. That was a small thing that happens every now and then, where the driver in last place just gets thrown towards the top of the scoreboard. Which of course is never the case. You never just deserve first place. You never just get it. You have to fight for it. That's definitely what's happening with Del Fonte. He's putting in fastest laps. Currently fastest man on the grid. Looking to do a stellar job keeping Gasquel behind. Not just keeping him behind, but giving him a gap that's too big to work with. Hauben's lap times now dancing around those 2 minutes. Brenham the exact same, and that's just because these two have a little bit of a back and forth going on. Hauben trying to carry that extra speed, going over the line. And that's a drive-through penalty waiting to happen. Just a few more times with your foot down through comps, and you will get that drive-through penalty. It's about 30 extra seconds added to your race time. That would put someone like Del Fonte way back down the grid, because everyone is still quite close. See some groups start to form up and down the grid. It's definitely not too far away just yet. Minar has been fighting to get back up the order after that incident on the first few laps. It's not going to be easy. The number 8 car from De Bons is currently really close behind. So they're approaching the end of Sector 2. As we're almost done with the third part of the race. The first 20 minutes almost completed. 30 seconds left, and then the pit window will open, which allows the drivers to go in and make their mandatory stop. They can stop, of course, whenever they want to. It just will not count unless the pit stop will be held in those 20 minutes that are approaching in just a moment. And the mandatory stop has to happen within that window. If you don't, it's going to be an extra penalty added at the end of your race. So the window just open, as you can see on the top of the screen, for about 20 minutes. Then it'll close again. We should see that classic bell curve of pit stops. A few drivers going in early, then the majority of the drivers going in throughout the middle part of the race, exactly around 30 minutes. And then the final few drivers take it again at the final few minutes of the pit window. Hauben, a different line through Maggots and Beckett's. Trying to set up something else for Brenham to look at, something he won't see coming. Unfortunately, Brenham a bit too quick to do anything about it. Snebons is now looking for a move. That's the inside line being thrown. Minnaar quick enough to cover it off. Just a bit too far ahead for the number 8 car to send the nose up the inside. Minnaar safe for now, but it is losing him lap time. He's trying to chase down Van der Meer to get it back into that top 10. Minnaar, the one who wants to take away the place from Delphante in the championship standings. But if we look at the current positions, that's not going to happen. Not allowed. So we see the same little glitch happening again with the number 26 car being thrown in first place a couple of times. On board with Hauben now as he's approaching, and that is an overtake. Quite an easy one from the looks of it. He was just behind Brenham as they're heading into Brooklands, and the number 3 car just zooming on past, completely gone by the time they hit the corner. That's P4 for the number 3 car, up 6 places from where he started in 10th. And now that he's got clean air, wants Brenham out of his vision, out of those mirrors, and pull away and catch that Ford ahead. O'Sullivan 3.5 seconds ahead. Not an impossible job. Definitely not for someone like Hauben in the car, like the Porsche, on a track like Silverstone. This is going to be a fight, but one that might just be done with a little bit of pit stop strategy. We can still see some drivers thinking about it, and we do have one car in. That's Krauk in the number 18 car, the first driver to go into the pits. The first stop of the day being done for the driver that started in last place. We'll see more drivers come in within the next 5 minutes. Then we're going to see a stampede of cars inhabiting the pit lane to get their stops done all simultaneously. And maybe they were hoping for some weather changes to fuel up to exactly 40 minutes. Because that's something to take into account when choosing your strategy. Is when it's raining or when there's a chance of rain. And to basically try and go for as long as possible, because if you do get a little bit early and the weather does change towards the end, you don't have fuel to go on through. You have to pit twice in the time that you otherwise only would have done once. So the majority of the grid probably opting for a later stop. Svodge is going to be trying to chase down Bellic once again. Not the best race of the season for the number 12 car. But he is putting in the work for sure. And are currently 11th place. Small train starting to form right behind Van der Meer. Iversen and Minnaar now right behind each other. De Bons also still in the fight. Gdowski a little bit too far back. It's about 3 seconds to do anything. And Van der Meer has got almost 5 seconds ahead of him. So no way that he can get any sort of support from a slipstream. Late braking there by Iversen. Caught off guard a little bit, giving Van der Meer some more room and putting Minnaar back into the equation. And this is close following through the club section onto the Hamilton straight. And this four-way fight is for P9. So quite a lot of points on the board if De Bons can make 3 positions here. It's not looking to be likely, but the fight is still there. 4 cars trying to make their way through. It's a good view from the number 8 car. Not too much spray. Track still greasy, not damp, not wet. Still appears to be dry. Everyone out on slicks. The track not getting any wetter, but not drier either. The rain is still falling. With about just under 30 cars driving, that water is going to clear up. And the first car peeling into the pits, and it's Minnaar who's going to be taking that first stop and peeling out just under halfway through. That will open up the fight. And everyone will go right on through. We're going to see more drivers going as well. Haugen, Escorcha's in as well. And we've seen Peterson, Kaufman and Fox also take their stop a little bit earlier than the rest. So we're approaching the halfway mark of the race through 33 minutes remaining. The gap out in front only increasing. Currently just over 3 seconds for Gaskell to Delphante. And the only thing that can put the number 1 car back in competition is a good second stint. And maybe a butch pit stop from Delphante. But knowing the number 4 Honda, that will not happen. They'll try everything that he can to keep that place, including nailing that pit stop. Of course, no damage either, no contacts. And we are going to see what the pit stops will bring. Delphante currently holding the fastest lap as well. The 1:59.3. Still among the fastest cars on track. O'Sullivan is also doing a great job at setting the pace. We are looking at Tauscher, who's right behind the fort of Caracas. There was part of that little incident in the first few laps. Now has to defend from the Porsche of Tauscher. So they're heading through the final bends of the track. Both of them going into the pit stop. Caracas looked to be a little bit confused there, trying to play a little mind game there. And that is side by side through the pits. That is weird stuff. As Tauscher pulled almost alongside. That's going to be interesting to watch as they're going to exit the pit lane. Remind me to take a look at that once they're out, because that was real close to be something. Definitely going to be interesting once they get out of the pits. The man without coverage so far, who does deserve it the most, arguably, Eric Delphante. Clean, quiet race out in front. We'll hear about his thoughts if he keeps this up. Interviews at the end of the race for the podium sitters, so we can hear about their thoughts of the race. Incidents or not, Delphante will have some words to say about this event. And we might just catch the rear end of this exit, and it does look like Caracas got jumped by Tauscher, and that's on the pit entry. That's what happened. when you slow down a little bit, Carcass stayed out a little bit trying to fake out Tauscher. But as he saw that the Porsche was heading into the pits, wanted to follow, sent it all the way in, braked a little bit too early, and Tauscher, knowing those limits a little bit better, able to pull on alongside and even a little bit ahead at one point, I believe, as he goes defensive towards the Stowe corner. And just on pits, Carcass was 6/10 slower in the pit. It was a faster stop from stationary to running from Carcass, 26.8 and a 26.9 for Tauscher. But just simply by having a different speed in the pit lane. And that does not mean that Tauscher sped in the pit lane. That means that Carcass was a bit too slow. And that is a position for Tauscher on stops. Not even an undercut or an overcut. That's just pure strategy. And playing with the speed lines as a load of cars are heading into the pits at exactly the halfway mark. 30 minutes remaining. O'Sullivan is in. Van der Meer, Brennan, Van Rossum, Dufresne, Iverson, all going for their stop. Tauscher and Carcass will certainly pass a few of those as they're heading onto the start-finish straight. Nice towards the drivers that haven't stopped yet. Latinen and Bellic, a second separated as they're heading through Sector 2. A bit too far for the slipstream even. Conditions not improving either. And Tauscher is still ahead of Carcass. Brennan did exit ahead. O'Sullivan in 11th now. But everyone ahead of him hasn't stopped. This is the moment that you have to get those fastest laps in. This is where you can push if you are O'Sullivan. This is where you need to gain some time on those front runners to be able to compete for that podium. And even for the win, maybe. Couple of fights up and down the grid now. Carcass in 14th. Remember, these are not the net positions. Some drivers haven't stopped yet, which means that they will have to. That's everyone in the top 10 at the moment. So we do see Delphante, Gasquel and Houben, all three going in on the same lap. It's Carcass looking to get back into that top 10 as well, with the pits that are still to come. Latinen in as well, releasing Bellic. Going on through, passing everyone else. Forced in the box as well. And Carcass too far away to have a look on Tauscher, who's done a phenomenal job in that pit. And it's still something that I don't think I've seen ever happen to this day. Two cars coming in for the exact same lap with almost the exact same stop time, but just their total time being a little bit, just a tiny bit longer, and the driver getting the overtake done. Delphante still comfortably ahead of Gasquel. O'Sullivan slots into 3rd place. There's a few seconds ahead of him before he can catch the guys ahead last lap. Trying to improve. Pushing hard as well. The top 4 still on their way to the stop. So they have 6 minutes to do so, which means that these top 4 cars, number 9, 21, 27 and number 20 cars, will have to get in within the next 3 laps. And no doubt they'll want to extend, but the conditions solidified according to the predictions. 30 minutes, still the same rain, meaning that with equal conditions it's easier to predict what fuel you'll need, what tires you'll need, what pressures you'll need, if you need to make any adjustments on that. Most likely not. The track temperature has dropped by 1 degree. Might just drop another one in the final half of the race. But might just stay the same as well. The Bonds now behind Van der Meer, just a few tenths. So finishing their 17th lap. Ramanet goes in the pits. Releasing Pelican through Virka and Zaza as well. Devante in the number 4 car. I'll spot him on the minimap. About to cross that finish line. Finish his 17th lap. As he will take the lead. As the rest all makes their stops. The Bonds looking at the rear of the car from Van der Meer. Definitely something that you want to see, really. You want to mainly look at someone in the mirrors, because that's when you know you will be ahead. Ramanet, the number 9 car, ahead of these two. Placing Van der Meer in 12th. Let's look to the side. A bad exit from the number 17 car, and the number 8 is through. The Aston getting a place up to 12th. Getting back to where they started. 7 seconds ahead now to Ramanet. Looking behind. Van der Meer is still quite close. And he's getting followed by Iversen. All getting that slipstream. Going into Stowe. That second sector. One that you can follow closely through. One slow speed section that they're passing right now. Fodge too far to fight with it for now, but who knows, maybe a few laps and he'll be catching up as well. Everyone knows you lose time by fighting, and if these three make some attempts at overtakes, they might just all lose each other time. Van der Meer is chasing, but small slow speed section in sector 2, opening the gap a little bit further. Spelik and Virka go in. Zaza, being the final driver not to take their stop, will do it on the final lap of the pit window. Going to close in 3 minutes, and then we have the final 20 minutes of the race. Just for pure, clean adventure on the wet track of Silverstone. I say wet, it's still greasy. It's not completely dry, but not completely wet either. The three-way fight continuing on to lap number 19. Tauscher has left Caracas behind. Lack of pressure will do that, and Tauscher with the fastest lap currently in his hand. The previous lap at 1:59.255. Doing a great job at catching Brenham. He's going to want to look for something into the next turn. Stowe just a little bit too fast and too early for Tauscher to do anything. The straight being cut short by a turn. And Tauscher not happy. He didn't get to go for a move that we saw Minnaar do plenty of times before. Speaking of Minnaar, currently in 16th place. That's definitely not looking good for his chances for a position gain in the championship. Groenewald and Wasner not present today. Those are 7th and 8th. But Ramanet and Kadowski are here. Tauscher send on the inside. Looks like Brennan went just a little bit too wide. And Tauscher with phenomenal pace just gains another place and goes up to P6. The number 14 car, the Porsche, really, really fighting through the grid. A great race from Tauscher so far. I know we get to speak with the podium sitters towards the end of the race, but I kind of want to speak with Tauscher as well, because this is quite the race he's had. Getting the overtake on Caracas in the pits. Jumping up the order the way he's doing right now. Quite impressive. One more place gained as Zaza is in the pits. Final lap, final driver to make and complete their stop. And the lead is handed back to Del Fonte, the number 4 car. The Honda starting from pole and basically getting ahead of O'Sullivan pretty instantly before the Copse corner. Doing a good job at getting that lead and keeping that lead. There's Brenham now. Looking to gain something as well. Also on a good race. Gained 2 places from the start. Has Caracas in his mirrors, as you can see. The number 7 car currently sandwiched between 2 quick drivers. It's going to look to get past one of them. I'm hoping for his sake that it will be Tauscher and not Caracas, because if he doesn't get past Caracas, that means he's moving backwards. That's not what you want to do in a race. Always onwards and forwards. A few tenths between each of these cars. The number 14, 7 and 2 fighting in the middle sector. A Porsche, a BMW and a Ford entering sector 3. Sounds like a really bad joke, but it is reality, unfortunately, for Brenham, as Caracas, with the Ford having the power, creeping closer and closer, as you can see the bumper and the rear wing of the BMW. Not close enough for a move, but Caracas definitely looking to set himself up here. As Del Fonte just puts in another fastest lap, gets overtaken by Gasquel almost instantly. 1:59.190 and a 1:67, so almost identical lap times in the top 2. As Gasquel has put his foot down. We'll need to catch up by about 3 seconds to even look for a move, but setting the fastest lap is a start. It's a showing of power, a showing of pace. And Caracas with a different line through Maggots and Beckett's. Might look for something on Brenham. This is the place that we've seen him, or seen the Ford quite strong. Minar getting the moves done quite easily on the straight line. Caracas not so much for now. Just gonna have to look at the rear of this BMW a little bit longer. The number 7 car. Simagic sponsor definitely doing his job by being in the view of Caracas a little bit more than he would have liked. And Tauscher happy with this. Caracas putting the pressure on Brenham. The number 14 can basically just run away with it. So we're approaching the final quarter of the race. Hope for some, but a danger to others. Del Fonte happy that he can just finish this one up, knowing that he is the fastest man on track and knowing that he can get that win. The first win of the season. It's going to have to last just a little while longer. And the pain, of course, for other drivers that are currently looking for overtakes, like Caracas, like Van der Meer. For the back, Latinen as well in 14th place. A few gaps that are looking quite substantial. Godowski almost getting hit by in the rear there by the Honda number 11 car, knowing exactly where to brake to not make the contact. There's not going to be a look-through stow, is there, Latina? You know better than that. Downshift from Godowski. That's a control move from the pit stop UK car. Latinen following closely through Maggots and Beckett's. A bit too far, though, to go for the move. We'll stick behind as Godowski, currently 10th in the standings, should gain enough points to get past Wasner and Groenewald, as they're missing today's event. And everything is clearing up a little bit further up on the grid. Van der Meer Not on the greatest race of his season. 10th place is still respectable. Currently chasing Debons in the number 8 car. He's got clean air, so that should be easy to keep the pace up. If Van der Meer can put on some pressure, we've all seen what that can do to the best of the drivers. One mistake, one error can give your race away. Gasquel is keeping up with Del Fonte. The pace almost faster, just barely not. Last lap for Del Fonte, the fast lap of the race. As you just saw pop up on the screen. 159.117. There's a look around the outside for Latinen. But the inside line a bit too quick for Gadowski. As the Honda number 11 slots in. Looking for something into comps. Is this a move that we're going to see into turn 1? Not something you want to happen, of course. Latinen a little bit off the line. And both drivers are going off wide as they're heading into sector 1. Lap 23. Gadowski just a tiny bit too fast on the exit of the final turn for Latinen to look for a turn 1 move. That's obviously never going to happen if you're not fast enough to get fully alongside. Once more on the hangar straight. A small look, but not a full look. Not something to scare Gadowski into a defense. But both drivers going over the line. No doubt, having held that throttle pedal all the way down. Maybe risking a warning even. Still going in the same formation, the number 10 car leading the number 11 for the fight for P13. Now, in your view, Gadowski entering sector 3 with Latinen right on his tail. As I was saying, that Gasquel was keeping up with Del Fonte. He's pulled 3/10 on the previous lap. Gadowski now going for a defensive move towards the inside. Thinks that the Honda is going to have a shot into the final few turns. Latinen thinking the exact same, going around the outside, knows that it will turn into the inside for the right-hander, but Gadowski a bit too quick throughout the first turn. Will keep the place. And Minar catching up ever so slightly. The Ford creeping in the back. Like I said before, fighting costs you time. These two are definitely fighting. It's warranting defensive moves from Gadowski, meaning Latinen is getting close enough to put the pressure on. To maybe scare Gadowski into making a mistake. Hasn't done it so far. Holding composure. Looking strong in this Aston Martin. The Vantage being quite quick. Good all-round car. This three-way fight evolving still. Houben in 4th. A little bit too far away for Tauscher to hold on to. Which means that Brenham and Caracas are getting closer to the resolution of this fight. Brenham the one in trouble. The number 2 car from Caracas creeping in closer and closer. This is the fight for P5 officially. But with Brenham just not able to hold the pace, it should be a fight for P6 here with the number 7 and the number 2 car. Gasquel still a tiny bit slower on the previous lap. So we're approaching to finish number 24. 11 minutes remaining in the race. Which means we'll do about 6 more laps. Completing exactly 30 of them the past hour. Which is in line with the 2-minute lap times that we're predicting. Gasquel right on the pace again with Del Fonte. But on the pace is not faster. And that's what you need when you are the car behind. Caracas doing his best to follow on through, but Brenham Doing the same thing as Gadowski. Not showing any moving from the line. Just gonna keep doing what he's doing. Trying to keep up with Tauscher, looking ahead. Will we see a move down the straight though? Ford is known for power, but the BMW isn't that weak either. Small look once again. No defensive maneuver being thrown by Brenham. Number 7 car holding on a little bit, but Caracas just not able to get past, and it's so difficult to do in certain parts of the track and so easy in others. It's just that the parts where you can easily overtake, you usually don't have the speed or the gap to do so. Ramonet closing in on these drivers, being a few tenths quicker on the previous few laps. And Brenham not pulling away either. Shorter line from Brenham. And there it is, the first look from Caracas. Obviously never going to make that. But the door was open. Of course, he had to try, maybe scare Brenham into going a little bit wider. Opening the door even further. But that did not happen. And the Ford having to stick behind. Not a pretty view, I must say. It's one that I want to clear ASAP. Gadowski is still under pressure. Zlatinen. Small little wiggle to the inside. Shows that he's looking. But just not enough. Not close enough to get anything done. They're following through. I don't think it's going to be anything into turn 1 either. Like I said before, it's a difficult one to do. Still a small look. It's not to look for the braking marker. You do that on the outside, not the inside. And once again, turn 1 safe for Gadowski. Going through Maggots and Beckett's. But this is quite close. We'll wait and see what the exit speed is. Disadvantage is Aston Martin doing something amazing as Houben is doing the exact same thing. This is into Club in Sector 2. O'Sullivan being overtaken, and Houben taking away P3 with the number 3 car, and O'Sullivan dropping back another place. Not something that was on my bingo card when I saw Houben fighting with the cars behind. Now just picking up the pace on the past lap. A second faster than O'Sullivan. He's just dropping in positions. That's not something you want to see. The race fully coming alive now. So we're seeing fights pop up all over the place. The final 7.5 minutes. 4 laps remaining for Del Fonte and the rest of the grid. And we're seeing fights for P3, for P6, for P11, and here for P13, and also 15 a little bit further back. Minnaar is being chased by Bellic. You can see these two fights now on the same screen at the Wellington Straight, going into the final 2 corners of the circuit. So yeah, fights popping up all over the place. Kind of happy that they do. It has been a quiet middle stint apart from a pit lane maneuver. That's the number 12 car sitting in 12th. Currently trying to chase down Iverson. Equal car, meaning equal opportunities. But Foch not close enough as they're heading on to the straight. It doesn't appear that he's going to be able to do anything, as we do have this 3-way battle still for 5th place. Quite a lot of points on the board for these 3 cars. The 7, 2 and 14 car leading this. I was going to say 9, but that's Ramonet, who has joined the fight. As I said earlier, this battling has cost them all time. And the number 9 car seamlessly joining this this little train that they're building. So trying to figure out who gets the points from 5th position. And we'll go home with a little bit bigger deficit. It looks like Brenham and Carcass are a little bit too far separated for them to have any fighting, which means that Carcass now has to look behind, and Ramanet being the one to give him the troubles, and Brenham seeing if he can upset Tauscher, see if there's any place he can force a mistake. And looking everywhere, we see more battles come up. Dufresne with the inside look on Kaufman as they're entering Sector 3. He's got Fox right behind as well. It's also a three-way fight for P21. Like I said, battles popping up all over the place. All of a sudden, Fox looking on the inside. Dufresne, small send as well towards the other side of the track. Doesn't get into it just barely. Forge also following through. Latinen and Gadowski right behind. Should be right there on the screen. The gap was almost 0 as those two entered the Cops corner in the Maggots and Beckett's complex. Forge now with the slipstream. Iverson not budging. Waiting for Forge to go towards the outside line before moving back himself. Almost making it work. Does keep the line though, but not the position. Iverson too fast through the inside for the number 12 car to follow on through to get the overtake. Following is still happening. But the overtake simply not there. It is getting quite close though between these two. Going into the village section, this is an opportunity as well for Forge. That's it, that's on the inside. Start approaching Sector 3. Iverson dropped back a place. That's Gadowski, who has joined back in. Is looking for a run. Will have the offline. Still holds on to it. Knows that this might be a run towards turn 1 as well. As it's now a three-way fight. Latina also trying to get in. That's a tap. That's Iverson with contact. 3 cars all tapping each other. That's never going to happen. 3 wide into the turn. And Gadowski obviously mad. Not only losing a place by not getting the overtake done, but also losing 2 more places. Latinen and Minar going on through. Picking up the scraps of this fight. Definitely not a happy man in that Aston Martin. Iverson just glad everyone got through without crashing into a wall. Because 3-way into those corners. Never a good sign. Gadowski now almost in the middle of this pack. Minar is in the middle. It's currently about 5 cars that are trying to get into P12. And Fudge just a little bit too far. Got the position and is now pulling away. But these 5 cars, the 13, 11, 5, 10 and 21 car, all fighting to get into P12. It's kind of shaping up to be a 3 and a 2. So there is some scrapping further up ahead. That's Iverson with a small mistake. Latinen on through. And Minar now in the middle. These 5 cars falling on through. That's a big move there. Minar getting closer and closer. Iverson not aware of the power of the car behind. Sitting on the inside. Minar getting another spot. Gadowski looking feisty as well on the outside. That's a tap, and that looks to be Gadowski all the way off the track. That's another contact the number 10 car will be furious about in these final 2 laps, 3 laps of the race. Definitely not happy times for the number 10 Aston Martin. He's frustrated behind the wheel. Understandably so. In the meantime, there have been some shuffles in front. Tauscher in 5th. Ramonet's gone up to 6th. Caracas has gone past Brenham, who's dropped back down to 8th place. Not sure if there was an incident between the 14, 9, 2 and 7 car. It does look like there is one small accident with the number 9 car. If you can catch that just in time. This is in the final sector of the track. This was where Ramonet did get past. Caracas as well. Small contact, small tap, heading to Brooklands. Doesn't appear to be too big of a deal. There was one a little bit earlier as well, so might catch that one too. See if this is anything substantial. This is a fight that we didn't catch. Ramonet in the back. That's 2 positions gained for basically free. The door wide open on the inside. Caracas sending it in deep. Ramonet with good defense, good opportunities going on through. And it's a new fight altogether. As O'Sullivan is within this battle now. Tauscher off clear. O'Sullivan is ahead. Caracas around the outside. Ramonet has the inside line. Will take something as Delphante has crossed the line and has taken the victory of the Silverstone race. Ramonet holding on to P6 for now. Caracas on the inside will look to get this, and it's going to be a run to the line, a drag race for Caracas, who's got the inside. Ramonet dropping back to 7th place. And Caracas keeping P6 after this big fight, but Delphante getting the victory and driving next to Gaskell, who took 2nd place at the end of the 60 minutes here at Silverstone. Hauben getting that final 3rd place. Tauscher in 4th. O'Sullivan in 5th. Followed by Caracas, Ramonet and Brenham from that fight we just witnessed. Debons in 9th and Van der Meer finishing out the top 10. There is still a small fight going on, but Virka is well not close enough to do anything and having to stick behind as the final drivers are clocking in and getting their laps completed. We should have the race over, and your race winner, Eric Delphante, getting his 1st race win of the season. That being said, we should have a small look at who has taken the win, or at least a small talk with the driver that has taken the win. Quite clearly, the 3 cars out in front. Quite big gaps as well. We're going to see if they have a few words for us at the end of these 60 minutes. Gonna give them just a few moments to get out of their racing modes, to get out of their driving, to get into the waiting room. Can always take a minute or so. For now, no more lining up. That means I'll just start closing this one up. That was the 60 minutes of Silverstone, round number 8 in the Case King Pro Series here on Low Fuel Motorsport. Next week we have Imola with a dual event, 20 minutes followed by 40-minute race at the Italian track. Always going to be fun. I will not be there. We'll have a different commentator for that one. Forgot to check who that is, but guess you'll have to find out next week. After that, week 10, Suzuka will be another 60-minute race. I will be there once again. After that, week 11, Nordschleife. I'll be in 3 weeks. I have a 60-minute race around the Nordschleife North Loop. It's a 24 hours layout. There'll be about 8 laps, so not a lot of chances to repeat the same sections or to try for faster laps. But there still will be some chaos, maybe 2 laps of qualifying. That should be fun to watch as well. And then the season finisher, I will be there back again, as I'll have missed the Nordschleife. Week 12, Spa, with a dual event as well. 20 minutes into a 40-minute race as the season finisher. That being said, this was week 8. Unfortunately, no words with the podium sitters. Not able to congratulate Eric Delphante in person. So that being said, Delphante, congratulations on the win. Everyone else as well, good job, good racing, especially in the first and the final parts of the race. Very, very entertaining, interesting. So Delphante joining the list of race winners for season 18 of the Pro Series. And I think that's where we'll close it off. Thank you all so much for supporting. If you want to see more of Low Fuel Motorsport, don't forget to hit the follow or the subscribe button on the Twitch and YouTube platforms. Also, go follow the other one, because you might just miss some stuff that you normally don't get. I've been Olaf, aka Wops Racing. You can find my stuff on @WopsRacing as well, everywhere on platforms. And I will see you again in 2 weeks, but hopefully next week in the chat for the next race. As actually, final last minute, we do have Gaskel joining the waiting room, so we can talk with one of the drivers. Just last minute. It's a little bit close. Gonna have to open up my notes back again, as we're gonna have Gaskel in. Sam Gaskel, welcome.
Hello.
P2. That is, I think, if you see O'Sullivan's racing finishing position, that is the championship lead. Congrats.
Yes, I'm happy.
How was your race? How did that feel, getting the P2?
Rewarding and great, obviously, but yeah, definitely wasn't expecting it to be at least, well, dry to some extent. I mean, we all did wet practice because when you look at the percentages of, the weather and stuff, it literally says 100% wet. So we were all practice wet, and the Ford really wasn't up there, to be honest, at least compared to some of the other cars like the Honda. Obviously, GG to Delphante cooked and was flying, but yeah, we got lucky that it was dry, and just me and Shay tried to do the best, and yeah, I guess did the best we could.
Yeah, we did see Delphante absolutely nail the start, get ahead of you, and then just simply pull away. Did that make for a boring race, or did you still have that target of trying to beat Delphante, switching out pace and the gap a little bit here and there? So was it a clean, I'm going to settle for P2 from the start, or was it actually fighting until the final few laps?
I definitely was pushing pretty hard, especially like in the first stint. Obviously, we were kind of fluctuating on the delta, whereas Delphante was gaining, like half a tenth, a tenth-ish each lap, whereas me and Shay were, dropping a tenth, gaining a tenth every other lap, and it was a bit of a switcheroo in that way. But yeah, I mean, most of the first stint just flat out, and then second stint was, just again flat out, but I had the overcut over those over Shay, and tire wear clearly kicked in because I don't know what happened to Shay. I haven't watched the stream, I haven't watched the replay or anything, but it seemed like he fell off like a long way. So I'll have to check that out. But yeah, definitely full push for pretty much the entire race.
Well, P2 is then definitely deserved. Congrats on the podium, and hopefully we'll see you again in one of the next events.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
And in the meantime, the rest of the podium has also joined, so we're going to talk with our P3 Houben. Nicholas Houben, welcome.
Hello.
That is a P3, well-deserved one as well. Congratulations on the podium. How was your race? How did it go?
Interesting. Rooted for rain, obviously. Got some kind of drizzle. Was a bit disappointing, to be fair. Yeah, quali was meh. P9, P10 for both of us. It was basically the maximum. I don't know. Was not much in there. And then in the race, I honestly cannot say how it happened, but somehow we went through and got P3 with not that bad pace. So I don't know. Surprisingly well.
There was some fighting down. I saw Tauscher got P4, and he was in a fight for the majority of the second stint and the first one as well. So I think, you did have the pace to get P3, of course, but the gap behind, it was a lot of fighting going on. So that also played into it. I just talked with Gaskel, and he said that everyone practiced for wet. And you said you were surprised by the fact that it was sort of dry. How did the conditions feel? Because it was greasy, and greasy is usually for me a moment where I'm like, do I go dry? Do I go wet? Which one of the two do I go? But it seems like everyone went into the dry. So how did the track feel?
Yeah, it's pretty clear thing. As soon as it's greasy, slick is the faster tire. Surprisingly, we even had partly green tires, so there was quite a lot of grip. TC off was no issue at all, so it actually felt pretty good.
All right. Well, congrats on the P3 and the podium, and hopefully you get to step on that a few times more in the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And then for our race winner, Delphante, welcome. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you so much.
It's your first win of the season, so that one must feel quite good to do from pole and basically getting every single lap perfect.
Yeah, it was we can say a perfect race. I didn't expect that because when I saw the weather, I was like, oh my god, it's raining, but it's for dry tires, and I took the Mustang was faster in these conditions, but in the end it was also very fast, so really happy. I think with more wet it was easier for me, but it's okay also like this.
Gasquel was already complaining that the Honda was better in these conditions, and that's the reason why he wasn't able to gain on you. You were trading fastest laps a little bit. Was it an easy race, or were you full push mode the entire time?
I was pushing, but we can say in control for the tires. But yeah, I was pushing, I think, like him. And like I said, I think with the more wet, with the wet tires, the Honda is clearly faster. But with these conditions, I don't think the gap is big. Maybe 1/10 or the same.
Well, it was a good race, and this was your first win of the season. So congrats on the win, and here's to many more in the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
All right, so those were the interviews. Let's see if the standings have updated yet, because they might have. They most definitely have, and that means that we can see that Gasquel has taken the lead of the championship. O'Sullivan in second, Delphante all the way up to third place, and Caracas holding on to fourth with Minar right behind Groenewald. Still there, Ramanet gaining a few places. Boothby dropped from fourth to eighth, and that is with these updated standings all the way down to 30th. I already did my closing words, so I won't repeat those those ones more. You'll have heard them undoubtedly too much already. And that being said, thank you all here at the Lofi Motorsport channels for watching, and we'll see you in one of the next ones.